All right, guys, we got Bitcoin making its way back up today, kind of like we discussed in that range. I think I said a couple of days ago, I think we might get to like 98, 99,000, then we'll probably get rejected. Let's see what happens. Maybe we'll get to that $100,000 Bitcoin today. Maybe we'll blow past it. You know, nobody really knows at this point. I think $100,000 Bitcoin is going to be a little bit difficult to get past right now. I think it's going to happen soon, but I think we need a few more rejections, but it doesn't have to happen, so I'm monitoring right now. I think we could get easily rejected at any moment. But again, like I said, who freaking knows? I mean, it's kind of flip of a coin at this point. Interestingly, guys, the coins we've been talking about, XRP, the coin I've been shitting on for the last year, but also telling you to buy it. It's one of those love-hate relationships, is doing phenomenal, up 20%. In the last 24 hours. We're pushing $2 on XRP. I told you guys last week going into next week would be at a $2 XRP. Looks like it's going to happen as long as Bitcoin continues doing what Bitcoin's going to do. Obviously, we get like a giant rejection. It might hold things up a little bit. But if we do get a giant rejection, altcoins might still continue to pump because XRP was really even pumping when Bitcoin dropped $10,000. XRP was still at $1.40. $1.30, $1.40 range. So really XRP wasn't even affected. Even Cardano's pumping. Cardano's up 10% over the last 24 hours, pushing $1.10. Like I told you guys, we'll probably be at $1.50 Cardano in the next couple of weeks. Looks like that's probably going to happen as well. We got Dogecoin up today. Let's go down the list. Stellar. Stellar's one of those coins that follows XRP. I had a ton of Stellar, guys. 2018, 2019, I had a ton of Stellar and I sold it all. Very, very low. I wish I kept it. Got Sheeb up 5%. Let's see if there's any other big gainers. Pepe up 8. I saw that VeChain was doing well. VeChain up 8%. I told you guys, remember me about 3 weeks ago when VeChain was at 2 cents, telling you guys buy some VeChain. It's going to pump hard. Well, VeChain's going great. Also told you guys Theta, whatever you want to call it. I told you Theta probably be at $3 by the end of next week. Well, it looks like Theta is pumping. Theta is at 230. Theta pumps extremely fast. Essentially, all the coins we talked about are pumping hard. Now, there's a few things I want to talk about. There's not a ton going on right now on this day after Thanksgiving. The stock market's closed, I believe, and Bitcoin's just kind of making its way back up. I saw Crypto Ran had Ron Paul. Raul Paul? Is it RuPaul? I always want to call this guy RuPaul, who is the black drag queen from the 90s who used to always be on MTV. Whenever I think RuPaul, I think of that. But this guy's name is, I guess, Raul Paul. Anyway, he's talking about kind of the timeline for this Bitcoin bull run. As you guys know, my timeline for this bull run is I think by the time we get to spring, it's going to be curtains for this bull market. I think we're going to be going into a bear market. I think Raul Paul here, we're going to play a little bit of what he says. He thinks it's going to actually go into next year. Like we'll get a giant dump around spring, 30, 40%, flush everybody out, then have like, I guess, more like a double top situation when we go back up. That could happen, but I don't think it is. Either way, I think it's extremely risky to be sticking in the markets past that point, but to each his own. Let's listen to a little bit what he has to say, and I'll comment.
What we would call crypto fall or crypto autumn tends to be very strong. So it tends to be very strong. The macro backdrop is obviously very good because of deregulation, new government, all of that stuff. So we've got a good setup. It's gone far and fast. I think everyone's a bit PTSD'd still, so which is why I err towards the it probably has one more squeeze because so many people think it needs the correction now. But I hear your point of view too. So I'm not saying it has to be one or the other, but that's my view. It goes up first. Everyone thinks, oh, it's fine. We're at 110. We're getting 150 now. And then it corrects in everybody's faces quite sharply.
So you're saying Max Payne? You're saying Max Payne is another leg up. That's what you're basically saying. Max Payne is sending this thing one leg higher.
Yeah, one leg higher in kind of disbelief, and then kind of trapping a bunch of new entrants in, and then it does the typical 30% correction in a week and a half, and everyone's like, holy shit, what is this thing I've bought? Why did my friend at Thanksgiving cousin at Thanksgiving tell me to buy this? It's gone down 30%. We've got to go through that sort of stuff. then normally it should rally all the way through till US tax season,
which is April.
So
that's April.
Yeah, it's the March-April period. It usually is extremely strong going into that, and then if it's very strong, then you have a very big correction because everyone needs to pay some taxes. So, and then normally what happens is it corrects again. So you can see it there in 2021. It then had a 50% correction that time, and I'll come on to that in a sec. And then it rallies into year end.
So I guess I agree with at least half of what he just said. You know, he's, like I said, he's talking about everything's euphoric in April, and at that point, I do think Cardano is probably going to be between $5 and $10. Your Theta is going to be $15, $20. All these micro caps are going to be going absolutely crazy. Your gaming, your AI. I think that would be the time to sell. Like if you've been buying crypto when I was telling you guys to buy crypto, or when you've been, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever it was, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to sell by April and make a ton of money. Now, what Raoul Pal is saying is, okay, we're going to be euphoric then we're going to have a big-ass dump. Everybody's going to think it's over. Then we're going to make another leg up. The question being, if that does happen, and if we do make another leg up, are we really going to get much past where we were in April when we dumped? Maybe we'll get like 30 or 50% higher than that. If that happens, I don't think it's worth the risk. For me, and of course, I could change my mind at any moment. I want to be completely out of these markets, most likely by April. And I like what Raoul Paul's saying. At least he thinks we're going to be euphoric in April, so that's probably a good time to get out. So we'll see what happens. It's very difficult predicting these timings, which is why I try not to do it as much. I was kind of wrong on the timing so far. Well, at least I thought we would be in euphoric phase at the beginning of the summer. June, July, I thought we'd be kind of where we are right now, but it turned out everything got pushed to after the elections, which I should have known with the elections. That's when it would have got pushed to. So being that my timing was wrong, going into the summer, maybe things will get dragged out a little bit longer, but it's just hard for me to imagine that things can go much more than another 3 to 6 months. Another thing I was talking about is MicroStrategy the other day. I really do think MicroStrategy is a Ponzi and it's going to collapse and it's probably going to take us into the next bear market. But funnily, that night I made that video. A video pops up from Martin Scarhurley. This guy's the big pharma bro guy who made billions of dollars buying a bunch of pharmaceutical companies. He did it when he was like in his 20s. He's a big investor, big trader. He served some time in jail because the Democrats kind of hated him. He jacked up the price of that AIDS drug or whatever. I don't know. He did a bunch of like shady stuff too, but he knows his stuff. He's very smart. He's basically a genius. I mean, you can't deny it. He's a genius. He makes a video, and like I said, I've never even heard of this guy's YouTube channel. It just popped. I guess because since I made a MicroStrategy video, his video pops up. He does this video basically. It's a 30-minute video. Obviously, I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to play like 5 minutes of it, just talking about how MicroStrategy is basically a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme. Here's the name of it. This is the name of his video: exposing Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, analyzing MicroStrategy stock versus Bitcoin. And he's kind of trying to be like fair about it, but really towards the end, he pretty much just says, he pretty much says exactly what I said. Yeah, as long as Bitcoin's gone up, Michael Saylor's smooth sailing. But the minute Bitcoin crashes, everything's going to crumble. And I thought that was interesting that he made this video right around the time I'm talking about it. I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe great minds think alike. I'm giving myself a little credit here because now everybody's coming out, just basically talking about how MicroStrategy is a house of cards. But anyway, I want to play the conclusion part of this video where he kind of talks about a little bit just how MicroStrategy, I mean, it's kind of a house of cards in a way.
And I don't really believe in fate or anything, but like, this guy also blew up in the .com bubble.
Oh yeah, and like he's saying right here, Michael Saylor made most of his money in the .com bubble. A lot of these guys just got rich quick. They got rich overnight, and they never really had to earn their money. It's kind of like if you play the lottery and you become a millionaire, a lot of these guys lose all their money. Michael Saylor is also one of those guys who didn't really build anything. He just kind of like started a little company, a .com bubble, and then it made him $100 million, and he's been rich ever since. So Michael Scarhurley's saying right now, well, maybe there's a little bit of fate fate coming his way.
It would be such a tragedy if Bitcoin went to like 10,000 and he was forced to sell it all. I would short it. I would short it and buy Bitcoin as a hedge. But you have to do it in the right ratio. It might be a 2x Bitcoin, 1x MicroStrategy. I don't know that it's an even trade, because you're sort of shorting a leveraged version of it. So you'd have to short one share of say $1,000 of MicroStrategy and be long $2,000 of Bitcoin, and you would have to delta hedge, and so you'd have to change that ratio as prices changed. But I think that's about right. Also, if you're just bearish on Bitcoin, MicroStrategy is a better way to short. A much better way to short. Yeah, so that's it. I think that's all I got on MicroStrategy for now. I'll have to sleep on it and think more about what it means. But basically, the guy has a cost of capital advantage, right? You and I have to borrow money and pay an interest. He doesn't. And he can convert his debt into his stock, which is just pieces of paper that don't mean anything. And so he can kind of buy Bitcoin for free if Bitcoin goes up. Kind of one way to look at it. It sounds like he's hesitant to do what I'm describing, which is to leverage up and sell a lot of converts. And of course, I think Wall Street would be worried that, okay, the only collateral I have is Bitcoin, which may or may not be useful. If it drops, it's not so useful. So another way to think about this is, okay, if he's going to be patient, then one of two things have to happen for the stock to make sense. Either Bitcoin has to rise, either gradually or all at once, doesn't matter really. Bitcoin has to rise quite a lot. Or and I mean, that's really it. If that doesn't happen, the news flow for MicroStrategy will slow down, basically, and he won't be able to announce any large new Bitcoin purchases, which is reflexive on the price of Bitcoin, right? One of the reasons Bitcoin may be up is you have a guy out there bidding for billions of dollars of it. So there's a little tiny bit of reflexivity in there. So if Bitcoin stops going up, it may start going down or stop going up, the second derivative drops, I guess, because he can't announce more purchases. And if you're in this stock for investor psychology reasons, that's a bad thing if he can't buy more Bitcoin. But he needs Bitcoin to go up to buy more. I think there's a word for that. But regardless of that word, it's not a zero or anything. But if Bitcoin dropped at all, the fact that he's trading this big premium to Bitcoin would be really damaging. So let's say Bitcoin goes to 70,000. That's not a big deal if you own Bitcoin. You can wait it out 5-10 years if you had to. Lord knows people have done that before. Nobody's been used to a cycle of Bitcoin that's really negative for many, many, many years. Most people have waited out as a few years.
Anyway, I find this guy to be absolutely fascinating. He sums it up perfectly. If Bitcoin not going up, we can put it down to monkey, because I'm a monkey. I'm nowhere near as smart as Martin or a lot of the guys that Rand Nooner is way smarter than me. I mean, he's a sleazeball, but he understands the analytical part of these markets more than me. But Martin is summing it up, and this is what I've been talking about. Even a dumb guy like me can see the scam that's on the horizon with MicroStrategy when we go into a bear market, and Martin says it. It's as simple as that. If Bitcoin's not going up, MicroStrategy's fucked. And he can only buy Bitcoin when Bitcoin's going up because of the way he leverages his stocks. So a lot of people are like, well, why doesn't Michael Saylor buy a lot? Why wasn't Michael Saylor buying a lot of Bitcoin in the bear market or when Bitcoin was at the lows? Because really, he can only buy it when Bitcoin's going up. So essentially, he has to be buying Bitcoin when it's going up, which is the one time you're not supposed to be buying Bitcoin. The whole thing is nonsensical, and it's going to be the biggest. I don't know, guys. Whether it happens in the spring, whether it happens in the summer, MicroStrategy is going to crash so hard, and it's going to take Bitcoin down with it. And I can't wait to watch it happen because I love the entertainment value. And of course, by that time, if you're a follower of my channel, we'll be completely out of the markets. All right, so that's it on that. Markets are looking good. Theta 228. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin 98,000. I don't think we're going to get to 99,000. I don't think we're going to get there today. I think we've hit the top right now. I think we're going to pull back a little bit, and then I think the altcoins are going to even continue pumping. Hey, maybe we'll see an XRP hit $2 today. But again, guys, these are just my opinions. I could be wrong. I hope Bitcoin blows past $100,000 today. Wouldn't that be fun? But I just don't see it. I do see it happening in the next couple of weeks. I just feel like we need a few more little rejections. Plus, I also like the fact that when Bitcoin doesn't make it to 100,000, the altcoins are still pumping. So I could care less what Bitcoin does right now, as long as it's hanging out above $95,000, $94,000. All that means to me is all the interest basically just goes back into the altcoins, and we're going to get that $1.50 Cardano, that $2 XRP. You have it, your Doge is pumping, your VeChain, but essentially everything we've been talking about. I think I talked about some gaming coins a couple days ago. Was it Render and Near Protocol? I forget what it was, but they're all pumping. Vulcan Forge, I told you guys to buy Vulcan Forge about 3 weeks ago. It's up like, 60, 70% since then. So everything's doing absolutely insane. Things are looking good. And, we will monitor the situation. But yeah, I think MicroStrategy is a total house of cards. And it's just funny that all the big names now, all the big money, all the smartest people in the world are starting to say it as well. All right, guys, like and subscribe. Talk to you later.